All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I want to thank you guys so very much for your patience. We are working our way through a little bit of some technical issues back here. Let's see. Oh man. Okay. All right. All right. Bear with me. Ah, hi Shan. Hello. We gonna play some more.
Diamond Grocery Inc., located at Ellica and Diamond, are your friendly neighborhood groceries for one-stop shopping. We carry a wide range of food items such as meats, toiletries, personal care, and even products for your vehicle. And there is so much more that is certain to make the most picky shopper happy. Our bakery supplies a variety of delicious and hot breads and pastries. We provide spacious parking at our 2 locations to ensure a pleasant shopping experience. Our staff is courteous, friendly, and ready to serve you. Come to Diamond Grocery Inc., Ellica and Diamond for excellent shopping with ambience designed for your satisfaction.
St. Vincent, my homeland, you gave me no mansion, no gold, no diamond, yet I love you a million for the things that you have to offer. Is more than my heart's desire. Lovely beach, tropical breeze, always there within my reach. I love you, St. Vincent, me sweet little island, St. Vincent. I love you, St. Vincent, home of the blessed St. Vincent. St. Vincent, St. Vincent, I love you.
Let me say thank you so very much for being a part of our Situation Updates live chat series for this episode. Of course, we are talking surviving suicide. And with me tonight is Miss Ellica Matthews. Uh, Thank you so very much for your patience, sticking around. Uh, our guest is having some issues joining us. We've had some issues joining, getting the broadcast up and running for this particular episode. But nonetheless, we're here, and Miss Matthews, I'm sure, would be able to share some insight as we, try to present this other side of the conversation. Good evening, Miss Matthews.
Good night, and how are you?
I'm reminding myself not to be too stressed at this point.
Lovely.
It's been an interesting day, you know. We don't have with us our Facebook viewers this evening because if you're more than 10 minutes late to start your stream, they basically kick you off, you know.
Oh,
And I don't have the time to go and configure another stream to set up over there at this point.
mm,
But let's welcome the ones who are with us on YouTube. And thank you so very much for being with me. I'm actually looking at Shan Pope messengering me at this point. uh,
she's still not
you know,
getting in.
yeah, trying to get in, but um, I was actually trying to interface with the support team from StreamYard. Sadly, we didn't have enough time to figure that one out. Nonetheless, we wanted to present a second side to that conversation that we had with uh, Chanel Cato's sister a few weeks ago. Um, Particularly because after that conversation, a few folks began, well, messaging what's happened, stopping in the street, wanted to share, wanted to ask a few other questions. Um, one of them one of them that stood out to my mind is basically what's the difference in terms of and maybe we're jumping the gun a little bit here, but what's the difference in terms of persons who present like Chanel Cato presented with a mental illness as opposed to somebody who just ups and ends it, with no sort of previous warning. But before you get into that deep end of the pool, I'd like you very much to please set up the conversation a little bit. Maybe we want to start at why is it do you think that some people commit suicide?
Okay, so suicide is always going to be a difficult topic for persons, for everybody to discuss. It's always going to be a hard topic for persons. Suicide makes up, I think, the second leading cause of death between persons between the ages of 15 and 29. And according to the WHO, approximately every 40 seconds, somebody dies. Every 40 seconds, somebody dies by
Mhm.
suicide. And for every one attempt, there are going to be, well, for every suicide, there are going to be 20 more people that are attempting to hurt themselves. Meaning, for every one person that dies every 40 seconds, there's another 20 people that are attempting to take their own lives. And that is the sad reality. Like I would have stated in the last session, suicide can be as a result of many different things. So, suicide can be a symptom of, so examples being, let's say, a person is depressed or a person has bipolar disorder, which is a psychiatric disorder. Suicide can be a symptom of that. In addition to that, suicide can be as a result of negative factors in a person's life. So let's say, for example, a person who is constantly experiencing trauma. So let's say they're in an abusive relationship, they have nowhere that they can go, no one that they can turn to, things like these, then that can lead to a person committing suicide, feeling like they are at the end of a road and they have nowhere to go. So we have the medical issues that may come, the psychiatric issues that may be the cause of a person having suicidal thoughts or attempting suicide, and then we can have the social things that are going on in their lives. So, persons being in an abusive relationship or experiencing a trauma like rape or having continuous experiences of negative things. So, let's say they were raped and then they ended up in an abusive relationship. They have children that they don't know per se how they're going to feed them. They don't know where the next meal is coming from. They lost loved ones. Let's say they lost the core family members that took care of them, that were in their life, that were able to help them. Different factors are going to be contributing to it. With regards to if a person decides that they're going to attempt and say in the process, this is what I'm going to do, that may be persons who still want help, who still has that little inkling that, maybe this time might be different and somebody might be able to help me and it might be able to go in a different direction. And then there are going to be people who just decide, okay, I am at the end of my rope and I cannot do this anymore, and they take their life. Unfortunately, there are going to be instances like that. There are going to be instances where persons do not allude to the fact that they're going to try and commit suicide, but they just go forward and do it. And that's basically just a short outline as it relates to suicide. There can be different contributing factors. And as much as we want to have this conversation and we want to be of help to others, there are going to be unfortunate instances where they didn't give you any warning signs, or they didn't verbalize that they were going to do it, and then they just decide that they're going to take their own life.
Interesting that that's where you are at this point, because the next question on my card basically is, can you really predict, and you mentioned warning sign, is it really possible to predict that somebody may or may not commit suicide? I'm sorry, my dogs are getting rather violent over here. I don't know why.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there are warning signs that you can look out for an individual, but to say you can just go forth and predict that somebody is going to try and take their own life, that would be something inaccurate to say. There will be the people that give the subtle warning signs. So the people who talk about wanting to kill themselves, or the people who, let's say, for instance, they start telling you goodbye. So you're supposed to see this person tomorrow, and all of a sudden they're telling you how good it was to have you in their life, and they're saying, they're really going to miss you, and they're not going anywhere. Like, we are supposed to see each other tomorrow. But they start to do some things with finality. Let's say they have this one bracelet or this one chain that they love really badly, but then they decide, okay, I'm gonna start giving away the things of value to myself. They start giving that away. They start withdrawing from people. There are going to be warning signs that allude to the fact, but it may not necessarily be in your face. Okay, this person is going to definitely try and take their life. There can be things that you look for, but it's not always going to be, okay, I saw them do this, so this is the definite thing that said to me this person was trying to take their life. Really and truly, the only way to know is to have this person say, okay, I am going to kill myself. That's basically one of the only 100% sure ways that you're going to know. But like I said, you can look out for warning signs that a person may have. So we're looking at persons gathering material. So let's say buying Gramazone, and they don't necessarily per se have a yard to clean or something to do with it. Their increase of negative behavior. So all of a sudden they drinking and smoking very recklessly. They don't care about the type of company they keep, who they're engaging with. Um, they're searching for methods online. So you borrow somebody's phone and you going into the browser to check on something, and you realize they're Googling what are some easy ways to take my own life, isolating themselves from their family, not being engaging, like I stated before, saying goodbye to persons that you are supposed to see soon, giving away prized possessions, and just not having any value, or not making any more plans for the future. So, like, they just don't have any intent to move forward. And then they're going to be talking about killing themselves, talking about hopelessness, like just saying they have no purpose in life. They're not adding any purpose in life. They're not seeing any reasons to live. They might talk about being a burden to other people, feeling trapped, things like this. So there can be different things that you can look out for. And like I said, it can be a sign of a bigger problem. So a person who may have depression, or who may be suffering from anxiety, bipolar disorder, things like that. So it can be a sign of. But there is not going to be that one thing where I say, okay, this is the definite thing that alluded me to the fact that Jippy was trying to harm himself, because sometimes it may never come.
Is there a most common method of committing suicide as you've encountered here?
People have, from what I've seen, gramazone, overdose, and I've heard about hanging as well. So that people engage in different methods. But what I'm going to tell you is that men tend to use the more lethal methods. So the point blank definite. Like we once ran a survey, out of male and female, who do you think is more likely to commit suicide? And a lot of people were like females because they're so emotional, you know. But fun fact, females will attempt more, but men will be more, I don't want to use the word successful because it's not really a success, but men will be able to follow through. Why? Because they use the more lethal methods like hanging themselves, drinking gramazone, shooting themselves, and
More
that's not
final.
necessarily, yeah, for sentencing. But whereas women might overdose or slit the wrist, and these are things, if they're caught, if they find them in time, these are things that they can get treatment for.
Okay, so I'm trying a hack here. All right, I'm trying to see if I can get Shan. Can you hear me? Okay, are you hearing Shan over there?
I'm hearing her, but lightly.
Play it faintly. All right, let me again. Speak for me, please, Ellica. Just say something to me.
Hi.
Okay, beautiful. Did you hear her, Shan? All right, so I'm gonna ask you to just speak up a bit for me. I'm actually video calling her on Facebook because we all wanted to very much be a part of this conversation tonight. I don't know why it is that her browser isn't letting her join us. All right? Okay. And she's actually sideways. She's actually sideways. Baby. Yeah. That's what happens when you're trying to multitask with only two hands. All right. So let's see if we got this. All right. Shan, it's good to have you. You still with us? Yes. All right. I want to ask you to speak up a little bit for me so that our mics could help push you across to the next device. All right. Could you basically introduce yourself to our audience as it is? And I'm trying to see if I could maybe, okay, there you are. There she is. Maybe turn your phone around a little bit, the tablet. Yeah, because you're configured a bit weird. Are you hearing me? Yeah. Right. Turn the device around so we could, yeah. It's like you're on, what's that, sideways? Can you see that screen? That's what you look like in there. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Shan, can you introduce yourself, please? Let our friends know a little bit about you. My name is Shan. And you have an interesting story, Shan. Coming through from a nice little trial, and I'm saying nice under there, but you know, they say who feels the heat knows it, right? Yeah. Could you tell me a little bit about that phase in your life, when things were as we discussed, at its most challenging. Are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So that hack doesn't seem to be working. All right. So I think we're gonna need to get our producer back in here. All right. Hey. Shanika has
Okay.
gone through, uh, and it's interesting what you were saying before, because her story lines up with that. You said basically, women would tend to attempt more, but men would move to more towards that final step. And sadly, she isn't able to share it for herself. But her story is basically one of so close an attempt. It's really a blessing that she's still with us. You know, from what I understand of her story, she literally had that glass full of gramazone, and was literally moving it towards her lips, in that final battle, with herself. As to the whys and so on, I really wanted her to share what it was that caused that particular struggle. Because again, her story isn't quite like Chanel Cato, for example, who we would tend to reference more, uh, for want of a live example. And I'm referencing Chanel Cato because her of the symptoms that she presented over time. All right. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call here. Just bear with me 1 second. The question I want to ask though is it that such a move, whether an attempt or a final, that final rope or grammar zone, or in the most visceral cases, fellas actually cutting themselves. Is it as a because it's a sense of impulsiveness that leads one to that, or is it that you've been thinking about this thing for so long, you might even have planned it out?
Mhm. For some people, it can be impulsive, especially for persons who, let's say, suffering from bipolar disorder. So they can be very impulsive in their actions, whereas they say, I'm going to do something, and they just leap off the bridge and do it. They don't stop to think what is going to happen, what can be the repercussions or the finality of it all. Whereas there are going to be people who stop and really think about this, and they would weigh their options, but because they have so much going on in and around them, they decide that this is the only option for them.
Bipolar, what is that? Bipolar disorder, what exactly is that?
So bipolar is a mood disorder, and it is seen on two extremes. So there are going to be the persons that are very depressed, and then there are going to be the persons that are very euphoric, energetic. They're just going to be up there in mood. And persons can basically swing between these two moods very quickly. So they can move from depressed to very happy, very out there within seconds. It is a mood disorder. It is a chemical imbalance in the brain. So it's not necessarily something that you did, but this is a genetic makeup that is contributing to what is happening to you when you develop a mood disorder like bipolar. And then there is depression. That is also a psychiatric disorder where a person is met with sadness, inability to do things that they're accustomed to doing, not sleeping well, not eating well, different things like that. So those are the two main disorders that we see, and we see it when it comes to the depressive side. And for instances like these where it is that bad, that's why we encourage persons to see a mental health specialist, to go to the psychiatrist, to go to the doctors at the mental health rehabilitation center, because in instances like these, persons can require medication to get a certain level of balance where their mood is really where their mood is. In other instances, it can be social, and sometimes people have a hard time seeing solutions when they're standing in that difficult situation. So that's why too we encourage you to get some help, because persons may be able to reach out and give you a level of help that you are unable to get for yourself. So that is why persons should reach out, and we're encouraging persons to reach out, because there can be many different contributing factors and many different solutions that can come from it. But persons have to be willing to reach out and express exactly what is happening with them.
All right. Um, I think we got Shan back for a little bit. All right, Shan. All right. So I was sharing a little bit of your story. Um, you know, trying to fill in what is it that you're a part of the show with us tonight. Um, but I think you could do it better, right? So could you please tell us a bit about you and the challenges that you faced? I already mentioned to folks that you were basically pushed at one point, you know, to really consider suicide. So could you maybe walk us through, you know, what it was that you were going through at that point in your life when you thought maybe, you know, this is it, this is the way out? Over to you, Shan. Yeah, we waiting. No? All right. Okay. I really don't know what's going on there. All right. So my next question, Miss Matthews, uh, why is it in your experience that people are so often afraid of talking about, you know, their suicidal, as you would say in the field, ideations, or their suicidal tendencies, their suicidal thoughts? Why don't we? Why aren't we conditioned to seek the help that we would need? You know.
There can be different reasons. For one, persons tend to shy away from mental health interventions because of the stigma and discrimination that has attached itself to seeking that kind of assistance. In addition, there are persons who do not want to seem weak or needy. They don't want to come across as being a burden to other people. So they'd rather say, you know what, instead of placing my problems on somebody else, I'm just going to take my own life, because they have become so overwhelmed by their situation. They don't want to put that out there for other people, because on some level they feel like I might be overwhelming them with all that I am going through. So that is an easier avenue out.
Hmm. What sort of help is available in on Saint Vincent and the Grenadines?
Okay, so persons can reach out to the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center. Um, the telephone numbers are 4586185 or 4584240. If there are persons who have family members that they suspect are going to take their own life or who have attempted, we're encouraging you to reach out to the hospital and let them know. When you go down there, if you go down there for that attempt, you are referred to psychiatric as well. So there will be that level of intervention as well. You're feeling overly depressed, speak to the person at the clinic, speak to somebody that you trust. There are different levels of intervention. But if you're at that point where you're seriously contemplating committing suicide, then you should really reach out to a mental health rehabilitation center.
I've got a question from a viewer here. Uh, Once you have these thoughts, are you considered mentally ill?
So, no, once you consider those thoughts, it does not automatically put you in the bracket of being mentally ill. There are going to be persons who suffer with mental health issues, and there are going to be different contributing factors. So, let's say it's a social situation where you might be going through a lot of trauma. Yes, you may have that ideation, but it does not necessarily mean that you're suffering from a mental illness. So, for example, let's say you're in an abusive relationship and you see no way out other than killing yourself. However, you reach out for help and you're able to get out of that situation. And then persons can find that that instance of wanting to hurt themselves, it gets slower, and in some instances, it goes away. So that is not necessarily attached to a mental illness, but a social situation. But there are going to be instances where the suicidal ideation is a symptom of a larger mental health problem. So this is another instance where we would encourage you to get help to see on what level are you being affected, what are the contributing factors, and what are the interventions that are available.
Awesome. We're gonna take a quick break, Ellica, and we will come back with just a bit more. Don't go anywhere, guys. Remember, if you're following us on YouTube alone tonight, and I really, really feel away because our Facebook family can't join us. Please share your thoughts, your questions. All right, we'll be right back.
St. Vincent, my homeland, you gave me no mansion, no gold, no diamond, yet I love you a million for the things that you have to offer. Is more than my heart's desire. Lovely beach, tropical breeze, always there within my reach. I love you, St. Vincent, me sweet little island, St. Vincent. I love you, St. Vincent, home of the blessed St. Vincent. St. Vincent, St. Vincent, I love you.
We got some more ads. Don't you go anywhere. Keep your questions coming.
Diamond Grocery Inc., located at Ellica and Diamond, are your friendly neighborhood groceries for one-stop shopping. We carry a wide range of food items such as meats, toiletries, personal care, and even products for your vehicle. And there is so much more that is certain to make the most picky shopper happy. Our bakery supplies a variety of delicious and hot breads and pastries. We provide spacious parking at our 2 locations to ensure a pleasant shopping experience. Our staff is courteous, friendly, and ready to serve you. Come to Diamond Grocery Inc., Ellica and Diamond for excellent shopping with ambience designed for your satisfaction.
tell you, man, resilience in the face of everything else, man. Yeah. Uh, interesting that you're wearing that nice, beautiful yellow top there. I'm happy 42nd. I'm so thrown by all the technical glitches this evening that I couldn't even quite greet my people them properly. I mean, um, uh, I think we're gonna make one other effort. My producer is telling me to get Shan Pope back on. But while that happens, especially given this time. I mean, St. Vincent and the Grenadines really went through the ringer this past year, and they haven't quite done yet. I mean, I consider myself to have gone through hell and back, you know. So I'm one of the stronger ones, and even I am saying felt and I'm feeling the pressure, right? What are some of the coping mechanisms that Vincentians, young, old, middle age, could maybe turn to, to maybe head off some depression at whatever stage, whatever level, and then even suicide.
Okay, so first of all, we want to let persons know that the thoughts are going to come. And persons tend to be overwhelmed in itself with just the thoughts, but people have suicidal thoughts more often than none. You will be surprised if you ask in a room of people how many people have ever thought about taking their own life, how many people will raise their hand. Remember that the thought of hurting yourself is just that. It is a thought, and that does not necessarily mean that you have to act on that thought. Two, try and remove things that you would use to hurt yourself. So if you know you have the gramophone at home, get rid of it. If you know you have sharp objects, see how, as much as possible, you can get somebody to take them from you. If you find yourself stocking up on the pills, find a way of removing them from your system. Reach out for help. Well, not your system, but your area. Reach out for help. Ask for assistance. A lot of people, they tend to not want to put that burden out there, but I'm very sure a person would rather listen to your story than have to prepare to go to your funeral. So ask for help in instances where you can. Create a distraction box. So there are going to be things that you like to do, things that you can do to keep yourself engaged. Because
You call
often
that
the
a
time,
distraction box?
so I call it a distraction box. So
Okay.
it doesn't have to be like a physical box, but come up with a bunch of activities that you can do to keep yourself engaged, keep yourself distracted. So let's say like baking, you know, have the supplies that you can bake, exercising, having your sneakers and things there. Just find things to keep you distracted and to keep you away from the thoughts of wanting to harm yourself, because oftentimes people are just sitting there alone with their thoughts, dwelling in their thoughts. So find a way to distract yourself until you are able to get the necessary help that you need. um Try to do the basics. Make sure you're getting proper sleep, make sure you're eating properly, eating regularly. And people tend to take for granted the importance that sleep plays in your life. People who don't get enough sleep, or people who don't sleep at all, eventually down the road, your body is going to crash. There are people who have developed psychotic symptoms as a result of not getting any sleep. So
Really?
these are the things that you have to pay attention to if you find that your sleeping pattern changes and you are just unable. And I'm not saying that you're not able to sleep in your regular hours, but you can sleep during the day, but you're just not getting 24 hours, 48 hours and going. You're just not getting any sleep. That is going to affect you, and that is going to affect you mentally. Try to avoid the negative coping mechanism, so the drinking and the smoking. People tend to turn to something goes wrong and they decide that they're just going to drink whole day or smoke whole day. That is not good for your health. Talk to somebody. reach out for the help, reach out for the assistance. It's not necessarily that you have to jump directly to coming to mental health, but reach out to somebody that you trust, whether it be a friend, a family member, somebody in the church, some other professional, somebody that you trust. Reach out for that assistance because that's going to be important. Speak to that person that you trust. Learn to manage the difficult times that you're having. People have suicidal thoughts and they don't stop to break down what are the contributing factors and see how can I take these things out of my life or how can I remove myself from this situation. These are things that you should talk about. These are things that you should plan. These are things that you should write down. This is what is causing these thoughts. This is what is contributing, and see how can I develop ways to cope, or how can I develop ways that's going to help me to move through this or move past this or get out of this. And be kind to yourself. Everybody is struggling with something and everybody might have a larger struggle than the next. However, it does not take away from the fact that sometimes people beat up on themselves. People beat up on themselves more than they should instead of saying, you know what, this isn't healthy for me. Let me see how I can get help. Let me see what I can do better. So be kind to yourself. And in instances where it becomes too overwhelming, reach out for help.
There are, and we have a guest. We don't know what's happening. We have a guest out backstage at this point. But while we bring her on, Ellica, let's say greetings to Mrs. Oliver, Jeannie Oliver. Can you hear us? Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Beautiful. So let me just wrap up this question to Ellica. Maybe you can chime in on it when she's finished, and then we will get into part of why you're joining us tonight, Miss Oliver. So in preparing for this episode, I was looking for more persons who attempted suicide and failed. And I happened upon a story of a gentleman from Chateaubriand who literally burned the dwelling that him and the family was in to the ground in an attempt to kill himself years ago. And he's not had he was treated and never had another episode of that sort, right? But then I'm mindful of persons, particularly teenagers, who would constantly self-harm with a view towards suicide. What do you think causes that difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The difference in what?
In that there's here's an individual who tried it once, forgive me for want of a better word, spectacularly. I mean, you literally burnt down your house in an attempt to kill yourself. But then, for whatever the reason, you've never tried it again after that. But then, there are people, teenager or whatever age, that would slit their wrist or swallow some pills, and they would do this time to time, even if it never really ends in fatally. Yeah. What accounts for that difference in I don't know, mindset or approach, or I don't know how to qualify the difference.
Okay, so for young people that engage in self-harm behavior, it can be a result of different things. So there can be the ones that are dealing with negative emotions or don't necessarily know how to handle the things that are going on in their day-to-day life. So they use that as a method of release. Or there may be persons who feel numb and empty on the inside, so they use that as a way to help them feel things, or they're trying to avoid certain situations, or basically to reach out for attention that they are not necessarily getting. So that can be a contributor to self-harm behavior. For persons who attempt and they get intervention, that can be just the intervention that they need. Or there can be people who have that psychotic break, and that is a symptom of, or that is a result of, and they get help for that instance, and they don't necessarily have those thoughts again. So it's not going to be one thing that we can say, okay, this is what contributes, and if we take this out of their life, it's never going to happen again. There can be different situations in that people try and they decide, okay, this is not the method for me. And then there can be instances where people try, they don't, for lack of a better word, succeed, and they decide that they're going to try again because they find themselves always in this situation, not able to get themselves out. And the bigger contributing factor in that suicide can be a symptom of a bigger psychiatric disorder. So these different contributing factors is what can determine whether a person engages in self-harm behavior, suicidal behavior, and whether or not they try them again.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much for sharing. Miss Olivia, thank you again for joining us. Particularly, what I'm hoping you'd be able to share on is well, we say one death is always one death too many, right? What are in particular? I understand there's a helpline that's in progress here, suicide helpline. Can you maybe update us on what's happening in that regard so far?
Well, the helpline was established particularly during COVID and then Sufra eruption to assist clients in reaching out and getting assistance with any issue that they had. So the line is mainly managed by two counselors from Marion House. And we have had a number of clients that have had suicidal tendencies. A lot of young people, young boys and girls that attend secondary schools. And what has been most exacting for us is the fact that the schools from which these students come, the secondary schools, that they have counselors attached to them, counselors who are paid on staff to identify and to address the issues that the students may have from time to time. So our helpline is mainly for the persons who need to reach you and need to reach you immediately. They don't have money to pay transportation. They don't have time to wait to come to town, but they need someone to speak with immediately and address whatever issue that they are undergoing.
So how and you're telling me that of these students that reach out, they've been able to get some level of help through this helpline?
Yes.
How do they access it? What's the number? What's involved in getting getting that help?
You just the number is 7844916327.
Say that
Actually,
again,
this
please.
is the number that we are speaking from, 784-491-6327. And a trained personnel will speak with the client, take the information and speak with the client regardless of how long the conversation is.
What about what time I'm sorry, what about what time the call begins? I mean, what if I'm in an emotional state at 2 a.m? Is that helpline able to?
The helpline is open 24/7. Actually, we call it
I'm sorry, I headed you off a little bit there. So go ahead, continue. Sorry.
Yes. So we listen That is the most important thing, as Ellica will say to you, is a matter of listening to the client, because the client needs to speak. And you therefore have to be on the other end listening, asking a question if it is totally important. But the important thing is that you listen and listen and listen. That is not your call. It is a call for help, a call for assistance, and therefore our responsibility is to provide the assistance, whether it is 2 o'clock in the morning, midnight, or it's for 3 hours or 5 hours in length.
But surely intervention in some cases ought to go beyond just listen. I understand in the moment of that initial phone call, you would want to listen. That is a given. But like Ellica was saying earlier, a woman might find herself in an abusive relationship, and she might be thinking the only way out is to kill myself. But maybe she reaches out on the helpline. Is there anything in place? Maybe some sort of relocation service. I don't know. I'm just basically asking in that wider frame of things. Is there anything else that comes with the helpline service?
We could also partner with another agency based on where the client is located. We can also partner with another agency to assist us in providing a service. And while you are listening, the client will be asking, you understand what I'm saying? Where I'm coming from? And then is when you will respond. But you don't dominate. It's not your line to dominate. It is for a helpline, a hotline for the client to air and to just give you whatever they have, whatever it is that is impacting them or affecting them.
And from we don't really want to talk people business as it were, but from your experience with this helpline, what are some of those issues that are impacting on this? Well, you mentioned this influx of young people who've been reaching out for help. What are some of the most common issues you've encountered?
Well, beside the youth and the suicidal tendencies, there's a lot of domestic violence, gender-based violence, where most of the time it's women who will call. Now and then a male will call, but in any case, you have to listen. But so it's either youth issues, whether it was suicidal tendency or something with their parents and the parents not listening, or something impacting them from school or from their friends. That's the young people. But for the adults, it is mainly gender-based violence and sustaining themselves. A lot of women are reaching out because of unemployment, the high unemployment.
Okay, so we lost Miss Oliver there for a little bit. Ellica, we'll come back with you in a bit. Let me just run and go pay some bills right quick. I still have to do it even though we got in the middle of the glitches and thing. We're on, and I promise the people them, if they support me, I'd make sure their business out there, right? So let's do this, guys, and come right back.
In my homeland, you gave me no mansion, no gold, no diamond, yet I love you a million for the things that you have to offer. Is more than my heart's desire. Lovely beach, tropical breeze, my reach. I love you, St. Vincent, me sweet little island, St. Vincent. I love you, St. Vincent, home of the blessed St. Vincent. St. Vincent, St. Vincent, I love you.
Diamond Grocery Inc., located at Ellica and Diamond, are your friendly neighborhood groceries for one-stop shopping. We carry a wide range of food items such as meats, toiletries, personal care, and even products for your vehicle. And there is so much more that is certain to make the most picky shopper happy. Our bakery supplies a variety of delicious and hot breads and pastries. We provide spacious parking at our 2 locations to ensure a pleasant shopping experience. Our staff is courteous, friendly, and ready to serve you. Come to Diamond Grocery Inc., Ellica and Diamond for excellent shopping with ambience designed for your satisfaction.
So it's one of the things about these lives. You know what I mean? Whatever happens, happens. I do want to apologize though for not being able to bring to you what we promised. Conversation tonight ought to have included Miss Shan, originally from Outlaws. But unfortunately, her device isn't allowing her to join us on either of the platforms we tried to hack tonight. Before we wrap this up, I like to have my guests share their final thoughts on the conversation. So I'd like to make that happen for you now. Ms. Matthews, your final thoughts?
Okay, so just final thoughts on suicide. I would encourage persons, if you are having suicidal thoughts, to reach out for help. There is nothing wrong with having a thought. Like I stated before, I want persons to be reminded that it is just a thought, and this does not necessarily mean that you have to act on it. When reaching out for assistance, I know leaping directly to mental health might be too much for the individual. So speak with somebody you trust, whether it be a friend, a family. Reach out. There is going to be assistance in many different avenues, and there are going to be instances where you just don't have anybody, or you feel like you just don't have anybody that you can trust. And instances like those, I encourage you to reach out to mental health. There are counselors there that you can speak to. It's not necessarily just jumping into psychiatric care, but there are counselors there who are ready and willing to have that conversation to see what can we do to intervene, how can we help you. And sometimes it might be that being in the situation, you're unable to see the solution for yourself, but having that conversation, breaking down what is going on with you, might provide you with the solutions that you need. So in instances where you're having the thoughts, do not despair. They are just thoughts. Reach out for assistance, and you can do so by calling the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center at 45-86185 or 4584240.
Before I completely let you go, I'm wondering if the same sort of I want to say extra help that might be available from the helpline that Miss Olivia was just talking about through the Marion House. in terms of extra things. Because again, like you mentioned earlier, sometimes it is not a mental thing. Sometimes it's a purely social situation that is is pushing one in that particular direction. Uh, can the or rather does the mental health center interface on that particular level, or is it just a clinical level of support?
Well, we would tell persons to reach out to mental health, but of course, people are free to reach out where they feel most comfortable. So they can reach out to Marian House as well. Like Jeannie would have stated before, people have called in for that level of intervention. It is really and truly where you feel comfortable. If the case comes to us, obviously, we would handle it. And there has been instances where, it's that persons just don't have anything to do with their lives or they just don't know where to go next. And Marian House does have programs that we refer persons to in that instance. So it's a relationship in that there are going to be instances where they refer to us and there will be instances where we're able to refer out to them based on what is going on with you. But like I stated, reach out where you feel comfortable. As a person working at mental health, that's directly where I go. You can reach out to mental health, but you can reach out where you feel comfortable getting that sort of assistance. And for persons, this is also another encouragement. If you are too overwhelmed by what the person is saying or you're too overwhelmed with what is going on with them, reach out for professional help.
Somebody here is saying on my Facebook message to please spare a special word for young people, especially those who might be afraid of going to get help because people are saying they will tell others that they're going through. People want to back talk them in the time when they need help most. So I'm sorry to put you on the spot there, but uh, please spare word for.
So for young people, I would say reach out to people that you trust, whether it be a teacher, there are counselors in the school, it might be the nurse at the clinic. Reach out in instances where you feel comfortable. Reach out to an adult that you know can be of help. I know St. Vincent is a very small community and we struggle with the will my information be private or will my information stay private? But reach out for assistance. If you don't know what to do, ask somebody if they've ever had that thought and where they were able to get help. Who do they trust to talk to? Instances like these. Because we would rather help. We would rather see what assistance we can provide. And this is just it. Young people reach out. I know a lot of people. That's the first thing they're going to say. Well, I didn't do anything because I don't want my business out there. But that cannot be the first thing on your mind. The first thing has to be, how can I reach out to get the help that I need? And that has to be it for the individual. Your want to live has to be greater than the things that you think might happen.
In the vein of encouraging young people to reach out, how do you as an adult, a parent, and even a peer, talk down a teenage girl who professes to have been gang raped or sexually molested by a group of guys her age or whatever, and is at a point where, and I'm asking this because this is a situation that I encountered recently, and is a point where again suicide is that thought that's ever present on her mind because she can't bring herself to face her attackers or attacker. How do you manage that as a layperson?
So, like Miss Oliver would have stated, it has to start with listening to what the person requires, listening to what they're saying, listening to their side of the story, and breaking it down accordingly. So, different people are going to have results issues with different things in their life. So let's say the person, they would have been gang raped and they're having issues eating, sleeping, engaging with other people. You try to break down those symptomologies and deal with it one situation at a time and see how you can intervene in these instances, because there's not going to be anything anybody can say that is going to take away from the fact that you would have gone through this traumatic experience. So it's trying to see how you can handle these situations and try to help you develop better ways to cope with the things that come as a result of you being in that situation.
Okay. I want to ask again to please share the contact information for Mental Health Center.
So for mental health, it is 4586-185 or 4584240.
And for the youngsters who so hip to social media, is there any social media presence for the center?
Oh no, we go through
No?
the Ministry of Health page. So if you reach out through the Ministry of Health page, they would pass the information on accordingly.
Okay. And a WhatsApp number somebody might be able to reach out to. We on WhatsApp too? No? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to make sure you're as accessible as possible, you know?
Helpline, the flyer is available on the Ministry of Health page. So psychosocial support and mental health intervention. And it has the list of WhatsApp numbers that persons can reach out to.
Okay. So if you guys are on social media, definitely check.
So that you can put it out there.
Sure thing. We'll definitely share it on the platform. Yeah, we definitely share it on the platform. Reminding you too of the Marion House number. Miss Olivier got booted from the stream, and she's saying here on my WhatsApp that her internet is acting up where she is at. 491-6327. That is 784-491-6327. If you feel like you want to reach out to the Marion House on that side of it, of the coin. So final thoughts was a little while ago. I want to thank you so very much for still sticking around. You're a very patient woman. I could see why you're in the field that you're in. Let's just wrap back and just roll with it. Thank you again so very much for making this evening's conversation as palatable as you did. And I really want to wish you all the best in whatever it is that you do going forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the book. I'm looking forward for the book. Yeah, putting it out. Yeah. All right. Thank you again, guys. Please do join us again next week, Thursday, when we would have sought all the bugs out. I promise you, I'm gonna reach back out to the StreamYard folks and sort out the bugs because I don't understand what happened tonight, right? But next week we have an amazing show together. I don't know if you remember Kev Jones, the singer-songwriter right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He will be live with us from Trinidad and Tobago, sharing a bit of his story, exactly what happened. He fell off the scene for a little while, right? Don't want to share too much. So next week is for that one. Thank you again, Ms. Matthews. And to each and every one of you, I say stick around, don't go nowhere, stick on the platform, check out some more videos, subscribe if you haven't done so, share, interact. Until we meet again, stay blessed, stay beautiful.